Welcome back, football fans, coming at you from Kyoto, Japan. This is a bit of a different football predictions and preview episode, but we will be taking a look at every single Premier League game. As always, let me know what you think in the comments. Every comment will be a draw to win OddAlerts Pro. You'll be entered automatically. So get your comments in, and without further ado, let's get into it. I'll just show you where I am before we get started. Beautiful spring morning here in Kyoto. I've got some notes here written on the train, so let's get started. The first game actually comes from La Liga because I think there's an interesting battle going on for that third and fourth spot between Atletico Madrid, who occupy fourth at the moment, and Girona, who have had a fantastic season. Even if they lose every game until the end of the season, they've had a superb season, some incredible results. But a lot of those results have come at home, and they're away from home at Atletico Madrid, who are over evens to win a game of football at home, which I always fancy, especially if they're not playing one of the, big two teams. And Girona have lost the last 4 away games. They've failed to score in 3 of those games, whilst Atletico Madrid have won 13 out of 15 home games this season. And I just think, this is Diego Simeone we're talking about. This is an important game, a key game. You can just see a 1 or 2-0 win, tight affair, professional. They just get the job done, and that's my first prediction of this video. And let me know what you think about that game, and now we will get into the Premier League. So the first game is the early game, and it is Newcastle hosting Tottenham. No 0-0 at St James's Park this season, and no 0-0 for Spurs anywhere this season. Newcastle come into this with 1 defeat in the last 5. They've tied Joe Linton down to a long-term contract. They'll be happy about that. And even with the injuries, they've been doing quite well as of late, putting in a good shift. Tottenham come into this game in 4th, which they'll be hoping to, hold on to until the end of the season. Aston Villa might be a little bit gutted that they've dropped out, but it is not over just yet. So what are my predictions for this one? The first thing I'll say is that I don't really want to predict the result of this game because Spurs have won just twice on the road since November, which surprised me when I saw it last night doing my research. The thing you would look at in this game is goals, because Newcastle, as of late, they've been involved in high-scoring games. And as I said before, no 0-0s at St James's Park. Newcastle have scored in every game at St James's Park. And Ange Postecoglou, if they take the approach of we can score more than you, it's quite likely that they can score more than most teams in the Premier League. Now, BTTS and over 2.5 goals individually, both 1.4, so not worth it pre-match for me, worth an alert for sure. I have been looking at the timing data, and this is what I found. So in the last 10 games, Spurs have scored just 4 goals in the first 45 minutes. So more goals being scored in the second half in recent times. And for Newcastle, 10 out of 10 games have seen a second half goal every single time. And 9 of those games, Newcastle have actually scored in the second half. So there are a couple of things you could look at in this one. BTTS in the second half, 2.1. Newcastle to score in the second half, 1.5. That could be paired with something, maybe a Gordon shot on target, an Isak shot on target. 3 goals in his last 3 games for Isak. And Gordon coming back, Barnes coming back. This could be a pretty interesting game filled with goals. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now on to Nottingham Forest. They've been deducted points. Everton, since the last video, been deducted another couple of points as well. It does make the bottom of the table pretty interesting, doesn't it? Forest is 17th with 25 points and only outside the relegation zone on goal difference. So this home game that they've got this weekend is absolutely massive. And it's favourable for Forest as well. They're hosting Wolves whilst Luton are away at Man City. We'll get to that game in a moment. But Forest, this is a massive chance for them, and I do think they'll get the job done. Gary O'Neill's been in the news recently. He got charged, didn't he, by the FA because of improper conduct. I mean, I don't blame him, given some of the VAR incidents involving Wolves this season. He's right to be a bit irate from time to time. Now, in 2024, Forest have only failed to score at home against Liverpool, but they've only won twice at home in 2024. That is that's worrying because their home form was what kept them up last season. This is a huge game. This is a game that could definitely keep them up if you're looking at the other fixtures for the next couple of weeks with the teams down there. And for Wolves, they come into this with just 1 win in 5, 1 goal scored in the last 3 away games. How long until some of these teams are on holiday mode? Wolves are 10th. They've had a great season. They've had some really big performances, especially at home. Obviously, this is an away game. There are some teams in the Premier League, like Fulham, where the home form and the away form is just chalk and cheese. It really is. So I do fancy Forest to get the job done here again, like we were talking about before with Simeone and Atletico. I think this could be a tight, narrow 1 or 2-0 victory. Let's see what happens. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now on to Luton away at the champions. Very tough game for them, but I think they will look to make things difficult for Man City. And Luton, to be fair to them, away from home, they've only failed to score in 2 games since September on the road. That is fantastic for a team their size coming into the Premier League. And those games where they failed to score were at Arsenal and at United. Now, how will they do at City? And bear in mind, this is a City team that just played out a 3-3 draw with Real Madrid and will welcome Real Madrid to the Etihad next week. It is interesting, isn't it? I mean, I think there will be rotation from Pep, absolutely. And that will give Luton a little bit of confidence. And as we've seen with Luton, they don't care who they're playing. They're going to go for it. They're going to give you a tough game. And I think there might be a value here in just BTTS, 2.25. You could pair that with Man City win as well if you want, but in my opinion, it's not worth it given the odds are so low for a City win. But yeah, I'm going to go BTTS here. 2.25 was the peak at the time of recording. Now on to Burnley, and is it too little too late? I think so. 1 defeat in the last 5, but 3 draws during that time. And you know, Vincent Kompany will be gutted that this has come too late, this form. Even if this kind of form, just picking up points. Doesn't matter how you pick up points. And even if you do draw 1 too many games, it's still points picked up. But between sort of October and January, February time, Burnley and Sheffield United offered nothing. That's the time that relegates you. You can put a good run together towards the end of the season, but unless it's sort of Leicester in 2014-15, you're not going to stay up. Now it's game week 32 for most teams, but this is game week 33 for Burnley, and they are hosting Brighton. And this surprised me with Brighton when I looked. They've only won twice away from home since September. I think they're one of the teams that might just want the season to end. You know, let them regroup, invest some of that money, that cash that they've definitely got on hand. And I think this will be another tight affair. Now, some potential markets that I've got written down on my notes here. Under 2.5 goals at 2.4. 1 draw, no bet. So Burnley draw, no bet, 2.85. And Burnley or draw, 1.95. I do quite like it. I just think, you know, this is a game that means so much to Burnley. For Brighton, they're out of the Europa. They're 10th. I think I said Wolves are 10th before, but Brighton are 10th. I promise they are. And yeah, they've had... It's hard to say with Brighton that they've had a bad season because we're directly comparing it with the previous season where they were phenomenal. They've sold players, they've not really reinvested. Certainly, they've not reinvested the cash that they've got from those players. So this summer, it's going to be a big summer for them. How are they going to invest that money? Are they going to push on again? Are they going to lose their manager as well? I think all of this just leads me towards Brighton having a bit of a stumbly finish towards the end of the season. I think they could easily lose this game. Another team that might just want the season to end is Brentford. They host Sheffield United, and across the last 10 games, there's just 1 point difference between these two teams. Brentford picking up 7 points and Sheffield United picking up 6. So I think Brentford are a bit lucky. This is second season syndrome for Brentford. This is what they're showing at the moment. But because the other teams have been so bad, certainly Burnley and Sheffield United, I think they've been let off the hook a little bit. They've obviously had injuries to Rico Henry, to Ivan Toney with suspension as well, which is, you know, it's unfortunate, but you've got to deal with it. Defensively, they've not been good enough. And I think they have shown relegation form, Brentford, for the majority of this season, certainly sort of December onwards. So what do we think about this one? Well, Sheffield United have scored in the last 4 games, including goals against Liverpool, against Chelsea. Big point at Chelsea, wasn't it? Now, is that Sheffield United making a late push for safety? Too little too late again with Burnley. Or is that just really poor from Chelsea, allowing that kind of performance and that kind of result at home? Chelsea are another story, aren't they? They play on Monday, by the way, against Everton. So my predictions for this one, well, Brentford are 1.44 to win this game, and given the form, the terrible form, really, of Brentford, I don't see value in that, 1.44, but I do see value in this game becoming a little bit open, a little bit chaotic, BTTS and over 2.5 goals at just over evens. Now on to Bournemouth, Manchester United. Bournemouth hosting Manchester United, and they beat United 3-0 in the previous game at Old Trafford. Fantastic performance there, and for me, I don't think Ten Hag will be at Manchester United next season. Just can't see it. The way he comes out in the press conference, he just doesn't feel like the manager of Man United to me. I don't think he'll be there long term at all. I think whether it's Graham Potter or not, I just think it's interesting that Graham Potter turned down the chance to manage Ajax. I just don't think a young manager like Potter, who, you know, thinks a certain way, coaches a certain way, I don't think you turn down Ajax unless you've got something serious lined up, unless you've got some knowledge that somebody wants you in the summer, and you can hold off on Ajax, because, as I say, you don't turn it down. If you're a young coach, you don't turn Ajax down, no way. But back to the current Manchester United manager, Erik ten Hag, incapable of setting up his team to be tight and to be hard to beat. They're just so easy to play through and play against. Bournemouth showed that at Old Trafford, and I think they'll show it again. My prediction for this one is a Bournemouth victory, and I think it's around 2.38. Let me know what you think. If there's any Man United fans in the comments, do you agree with me? Do you think Ten Hag will be your manager? I'm a complete neutral, but, you know, I just say what I see. Man United are one of the easiest teams to play against. The amount of shots faced is incredible. Just as a quick comparison, in the last 5 away games, United are averaging 26 shots faced per game. For Bournemouth, in the same period at home, they're averaging 9 shots faced per game. So it is pretty crazy, to be fair. Varane is out, Evans is out, Johnny Evans is there. He's actually a player at Man United. It's kind of crazy. Varane, I don't think he's reliable. I think he's proved that this season. He's never going to be able to play 3 games a week consistently for you. So I think that's an issue that they've got as well. But yeah, I'm going to go with a Bournemouth win here at about 2.38. Let me know what you think in the comments. On to Sunday's games then, and yeah, I mean, as I woke up here in Japan, the Europa League was just finishing, and Liverpool 3-0 defeat at home. That is not what Jurgen Klopp ordered. That is not what he picked from the menu. And West Ham, the final score looks a little bit different. I mean, they were against it for the majority of the game, it looks like, looking at the data, but they were close to sort of getting a famous point at Leverkusen. But yeah, the pressure just mounted and mounted, and Leverkusen got a couple of goals, and they both play on Sunday. Liverpool hosting Crystal Palace, and I think the odds are 1.29 or something. You know, I'll give my prediction right now. I think Liverpool will win this game. Yes, wow, what a prediction. Palace, we mentioned teams before that just want the season to end. I think Palace and their new manager, he'll want a pre-season. He'll want to assess his squad. He'll want to potentially get funds for the sale of Elise or Eze. I think one of them will certainly be, you know, fielding some offers, shall we say. And yeah, they need a striker. They're crying out for a striker. So not much to say other than Liverpool victory there, as Liverpool, you know, look to bounce back from dropping points in the Premier League recently. Now on to the rest of Sunday's games. As always, get your comments in. What do you think about this video format? Do you want me to keep doing more walk and talks, or would you rather me be in front of the green screen? I don't mind, to be honest. Green screen's a bit easier, you know, out in public. But yeah, get your comments in and you'll automatically be entered into a draw to win a month of OddAlerts Pro. Now on to West Ham, and I think Moyes, despite the Europa League result recently, I mean, they played Leverkusen, didn't they? One of the best teams in Europe at the moment, and they lost at Leverkusen. They've still got a home game. They're not out yet, and if my predictions are correct this weekend and West Ham can get a win against Fulham, they'll go to 6, or potentially, you know, move up to 6. And David Moyes deserves credit. Fans were calling for him to be sacked earlier in the season after like 3 games without a win. He's doing a great job. So for West Ham, they've scored in each of the last 7 games coming into this. BTTS has also landed in each of those games, and they've actually only lost 1 of those games, and that was that really exciting comeback from Newcastle at St James's Park. 2 penalties as well in that game for Newcastle. So yeah, I would be looking at West Ham here. They're playing Fulham, who have been in okay goal scoring form, but in terms of general form away from home, it is absolutely dreadful for Fulham. And again, it is chalk and cheese, home form and away form. Just one win away from home since the opening weekend for Fulham. That's how bad their form is. But they have scored in each of the last 5 games. And all in all, I'd say it's been a good season for both of these teams, especially West Ham, obviously. But for Fulham, you know, they're no way near relegation. Marco Silva, in the summer, there was talk of him going to Saudi Arabia. He rejected it and steadied the ship. They've had trouble scoring goals, and then they've found the scoring boots, shooting boots in recent weeks. So, yeah, fair play to them. Let's see if they can progress next season. My prediction for this one, I've had to write it down. It's a little bit longer than the others. It is West Ham or draw, BTTS, and over 1.5 West Ham cards at 3s. So yeah, that one is it's research, but obviously check out the game yourself and let me know what you think in the comments. On to Arsenal then, the final game on Sunday, and they are chasing a 4th consecutive clean sheet in the Premier League, hosting Aston Villa. I think they'll get the job done. I'm really impressed with Arsenal. They're probably my favourites, narrowly, for the Premier League, just because of that defensive record. I think if you look at City and you look at Liverpool, yes, they're fantastic teams. They've got recent, pedigree of winning the league, of course, especially City. It's a great title race, isn't it? The fact that we can't call it. But what I'll say, and Fergie said it as well, a great defence wins your titles. And at the moment, if you look at those 3 teams, it is Arsenal who has the great defence out of the 3 teams. City are conceding goals in the majority of games, especially away games, which is unlike them. We've just seen Liverpool concede 3 at home to Atalanta, which again, I say it's unlike them, but it's not. They concede in the majority of games, Liverpool. So my prediction overall for the Premier League at this moment in time, and it could change in a few days, of course, given the results and the state of play, is Arsenal to win the Premier League. Now, in terms of the game against Aston Villa, I think they'll just go out and get the job done, 1 or 2-0 victory. Let's see what happens, eh? What do you think about this video? What do you think about all of the games that I've mentioned? Get your comments in and you'll automatically be entered into a draw to an OddAlerts Pro. And let me know what you think about this format. Yeah, I'm away at the moment in Japan, but I still wanted to get a video up, still wanted to upload a video, and there isn't any screencast of me using OddAlerts or whatever, but I just still wanted to keep the consistency going with YouTube, because we hit 10,000 subscribers, so I would hate to see the algorithm punish me for not posting, which does happen, unfortunately. So thank you for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.